When I made the video, I really disliked Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him. I understand him. I want to make something clear. I would still kick the living fuck out of Jake.
Andrew Tate just tore into Jake Paul like a bulldozer smashing through a sandcastle. And honestly, it was glorious. He didn't hold back, calling Jake out as nothing less than an absolute dick.
Because he's allowed himself to become the biggest clown on the internet, and now he's famous, right? Because he's an idiot. But he has a bunch of money, so he gets to...
Tate accused Jake of disrespecting boxing, a sport loved by billions, and dragging its reputation through the mud. But Jake didn't stop there. He went and dragged a living legend into his circus act by pulling Mike Tyson into the mix. Jake didn't just ruin the event. He disrespected Tyson's legacy.
I'm not some washed-up UFC fighter. I'm not smaller than him. I would beat the living shit out of him. And if he wants to fight, I'll fight him any day of the week, and I'll fucking wreck him, and he knows.
And all for what? A few extra clicks on his Instagram? Andrew isn't having any of it. He outright blamed Jake for the whole mess, calling it an embarrassment to combat sports and a slap in the face to Tyson's legendary career. The worst part? Jake doesn't even seem to feel any shame about it. It's shamelessness at its peak. And Andrew isn't staying quiet about it.
However, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well. 3, 4, 5 years of training combat sports. You can box. The guy's not a jackass.
Andrew Tate absolutely tore Jake Paul to shreds on live TV, and honestly, it was long overdue. Jake Paul, the self-proclaimed boxing savior, sports a fight record as questionable as his haircuts, 6 wins, 1 loss, and a fan base that cheers louder for his TikToks than his punches. Yet somehow, he walks around like he's reinvented the sport. Enter Andrew Tate, 76 professional kickboxing wins, 23 knockouts, and 0 patience for Jake's YouTube boxing circus. If this were a real sport, not Jake's social media playground, he wouldn't even make it past tryouts.
I made a video that called out Jake Paul.
$3 million. $3 million. You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. You know my name, Andrew Tate. I will fight you any day, anytime. Let's fucking go. If I were to fight Jake Paul, I would take it completely seriously like a real fight, and I'd whoop his ass. I'd beat him.
Jake's latest stunt, dragging a 58-year-old Mike Tyson out of retirement for a so-called fight? Seriously, who does that? Tyson is a legend, a man who's earned his place in the Boxing Hall of Fame and deserves his time in retirement. But Jake thought it'd be fun to slap Tyson's name on a pay-per-view event and call it a fight. Andrew Tate didn't hold back, calling it what it really is, a joke, and not a funny one. This isn't boxing. It's a content creator's ego trip. Tate is here to put an end to it.
He is not just a YouTuber. He is a young man training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia.
When I made the video, I really disliked Jake Paul. Now, I don't
Tate,
dislike him. I understand.
A guy who's battled elite athletes for over a decade, called Jake out for padding his record with opponents who either don't belong in a ring or are just collecting retirement checks. Let's recap Jake's greatest hits, shall we? A YouTuber, a retired basketball player, and a lineup of former MMA fighters whose boxing skills are about as sharp as a butter knife. Oh, and let's not forget the Mike Tyson fiasco. If Jake spent half as much time training as he does picking his opponents, maybe we'd actually respect him. But here we are.
I challenged him because he is a very fortunate young man. And he's fortunate because he's extremely rich, because he's allowed himself to become the biggest clown on the internet, and now he's famous, right? Because he's an idiot. But he has a bunch of money, so he gets to...
When Tate called Jake a clown, it wasn't just trash talk. It was a fact. Jake Paul is the guy who shows up to a costume party in a suit and calls himself James Bond. He's playing dress-up, and it's painfully obvious. Tate's challenge was simple. Stop hiding behind gimmicks, step into the ring with a real fighter, and prove you've got more than just Instagram captions. Tate has spent years mastering his craft, fighting opponents who can actually punch back. Meanwhile, Jake's been busy promoting himself on social media and flexing on TikTok. He's the guy who skips practice but still wants to be team captain. It's embarrassing, really. If these two ever step into the ring, Tate won't just win. He'll dismantle Jake right in front of his own fan base. And honestly, it'll be the reality check Jake's been avoiding.
but I'd still whoop his ass. but I would whoop his ass. But he wouldn't take a fight against me because when he loses, I'm not nearly on his level of fame, right? So like he lost to who? Whereas if he loses to Conor McGregor, it's no big deal. Well, he lost to Conor McGregor, who cares, right? That's what it's about. But yeah,
it's still a win for him.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Jake versus Tyson one more time, because it deserves its own special roast. Jake challenging Mike Tyson at this stage of his life is like racing a retired Olympian and calling it fair. It's not bold, it's not clever, it's desperate, and frankly, it's disrespectful. This is exactly the kind of move we've come to expect from Jake Paul. Tate didn't mince words about it, and neither should we. If you're fighting someone 31 years older than you, it's not a competition, it's elder abuse. Andrew wouldn't stoop that low. Jake would, because he seems to lack both empathy and common sense. Sure, on paper, Jake and Tate might look evenly matched, both over 6 feet tall, hovering around 190, 200 pounds. But experience and skill don't show up on paper, and that's where Jake crumbles. Tate's been fighting professionally for over a decade. Jake? He's been boxing for, 4 years? And most of that time has been spent figuring out how to make his next fight trend on social media. At this point, Jake's less of a boxer and more of a walking brand deal.
I am ready. Go. Come on. Fight. Hey. Let's go. Fight. Hey. Fight. Hey. Good. Fight. Hey. Work. Hey. Work. Hey. Work. Hey. Work. Hey. Work. Work. Hey. Work.
Andrew Tate has always made it clear. Mike Tyson isn't just a name in the boxing world. He's a living legend, an icon who helped shape the sport. Tate respects Tyson the way real fighters should, with honor, not opportunism. This isn't some PR stunt or hashtag moment for him. Tate has openly called Tyson one of the greatest of all time, and unlike Jake Paul, he wouldn't dare drag Tyson into a sham fight just to inflate his own social media following. Why? Because Tate values legacy. Jake Paul, he values clicks. It's that simple.
Andrew, fighter, legitimate, badass motherfucker,
Yeah.
strong mentality. I'm sorry, Tristan Tate is the weak link.
I say let's
He
run
got
it.
a bad shoulder. He's shaped like a gingerbread man. I don't want no beef, but that's delusion.
PFO will set this up.
Uh-oh.
A MMA
10
double tag team match.
10 million for everybody.
You might have a fight. You might have a fight on your
Let's talk about Jake for a second. The guy who somehow thought fighting a 58-year-old Mike Tyson was a brilliant career move. Fighting might be generous here. Exploiting? That's more accurate. Jake didn't see Tyson as a legend who's earned his rest. He saw him as a shortcut to stay in the headlines. And the worst part? Jake genuinely believed this would make him look like a serious boxer. Meanwhile, Andrew Tate sees Tyson for what he truly is, a legend whose legacy should be honored, not dragged into a circus for a few extra pay-per-view buys. Tate didn't mince words, calling out the Tyson fight for what it really was, a desperate grasp at relevance. And honestly, he's right. Even Tyson, far too classy to publicly roast Jake, has subtly hinted at the glaring difference between Jake's antics and real fighters like Tate. Tyson respects fighters who've earned their place, who've taken hits and built legacies, the hard way. People like Tate. Jake? His antics probably make Tyson roll his eyes so hard they're doing laps. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Tate moves with dignity. Jake moves like a walking ad for his next viral stunt.
Two brothers, one cage. Jake Logan, you Tristan. Who comes out alive?
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beefs. I'm really trying not to.
You could say Jake and Logan, man.
Bro,
Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. Bro, I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house. Matrix is after me. I'm just trying to live peaceful. But of course, I have absolute faith in myself and my brother, and I know what we've been through, and I know the kind of men we are.
Here's the thing. In combat sports, respect is everything. It's what separates the legends from the pretenders. Tate's respect for Tyson isn't just talk. It comes from a deep understanding of the grind, the sacrifices, and the legacy that real fighters build over time. Jake Paul, on the other hand, wouldn't recognize respect if it hit him in the face with a boxing glove. His entire career has been built on cherry-picking opponents, guys who either never boxed professionally or are long past their prime. It's not just embarrassing. It's downright insulting to the sport and to the athletes who dedicate their lives to it. The public's reaction to Jake Paul's latest stunt was swift and brutal. And honestly, it was well-deserved. Fans, analysts, and fighters alike saw right through it. Fighting Mike Tyson at 58 wasn't some bold, fearless move. It was a shameless cash grab. People weren't just outraged at the disrespect toward Tyson. They were stunned by Jake's delusion that this fight would somehow earn him legitimacy in the boxing world. The combat sports community has had enough of the smoke and mirrors. They're practically begging Andrew Tate to step in and deliver. The reality check Jake's been dodging for years. And let's be real, Jake knows exactly what he's doing. He's made a career out of handpicking opponents, guys who are retired, out of shape, or simply not boxers, all in an effort to build a facade of greatness. But Andrew Tate? He's not some washed-up MMA fighter chasing a paycheck. He's a former world kickboxing champion with 76 wins and the kind of ring experience Jake can't even fake. If these two ever meet in the ring, it won't be a contest. It'll be a dismantling. Tate would tear through Jake like a buzzsaw through cardboard. And deep down, Jake knows it. The media is feasting on the possibility, and the internet is on fire with memes, predictions, and debates. Social media is flooded with people rallying behind Tate, hoping he's the one to finally silence Jake's hype train. For Tate, it's a chance to remind the world what a real fighter looks like. For Jake, it's the ultimate test to prove he's more than a glorified influencer. But let's be honest, he's not. Don't forget to like the channel, subscribe, and press the bell icon to stay updated with all the latest content.